Hi, everybody. It's 9:05, so we're going to start the webinar. Thank you very much to those of you who have joined us. We will make the recording available for those who are unable to attend, so this information will be available. Thanks very much. So I'm Ashton Maheri. I'm the program lead for student success at Sadie. And I just want to share a little bit of information around our upcoming conference. So the conference will take place from the 8th to the 11th of July at the Indaba Hotel, Spa and Conference Center in Fourways, Johannesburg. And the theme for this year's conference is reimagining student success and expanding opportunity for all. So some of the important dates that we have, these dates have changed in terms of the call for proposals. So you'll be able to submit proposals from this afternoon up until the 30th of May. We will notify authors of acceptance of their proposals on the 13th of June. The registration will be open from later today up until the 20th of June. And then the conference itself will take place from Tuesday, the 8th of July, starting with a lunch around 12 o'clock and ending around 1 o'clock on Friday, the 11th of July. Registration will be open from around 9 o'clock on Tuesday, the 8th of July. So I think the important thing for everybody to note is we have extended the deadline for the call for proposals up until the 30th of May. And then we will give notification around whether the proposals have been accepted or not on the 13th of June. So I think that's an important thing to just keep in mind around the updated deadline date. The main reason for the change around that is that we've had to update our proposal platform and the registration platform, and that's taken a bit longer than planned. So a little bit about the conference before we jump into the proposal types. The conference itself will take place at the Indaba Hotel, Spa and Conference Center, which is located in Fourways, Johannesburg. And you can see on the map that we have, Pretoria's up on the top. We've got Johannesburg and Sandton at the bottom. And Indaba itself is located in Fourways on Winnie Mandela Drive. In terms of the registration fee for the conference, it's going to be 4,500 Rand excluding VAT and 5,175 Rand including VAT. And that is for the 4 days of the conference, including meals and catering during the conference itself. So important thing to keep in mind here is that presenters whose proposals are accepted for the 30-minute and the 90-minute sessions will have their registration fee waived, as in previous years. This applies to one presenter per 30-minute presentation or up to 3 presenters for the 90-minute session. Exclusions to this are presenters for the promising practice sharing sessions and the poster presentations. So we encourage everybody to please submit proposals for the 30-minute evidence-based sharing practices. And if it's accepted, we will waive the registration fee for those presenters, limited to 1 presenter per 30-minute session and up to 3 for the 90-minute sessions. In terms of accommodation for the conference, accommodation is available at the Indaba Hotel, Spa and Conference Center. They do have a limited number of rooms available for self-paying delegates, which is around 100 rooms. Their conference rate is 1,750, including VAT, for the bed and breakfast. There is additional accommodation that's available at the City Lodge Fourways, which is located next to Monte Casino. And that's around a 4-kilometer drive from the Indaba Hotel. So we would encourage the self-paying delegates to make the reservations through Indaba Hotel as quickly as possible to secure your accommodation at the venue. A little bit about the venue itself. So as I say, it's located on Winnie Mandela Drive in Fourways. So it's actually, I think, pretty convenient for the Pretoria people traveling to the conference venue itself. For the Gauteng people and the Johannesburg people, will just be mindful of traffic in the Fourways area. For those of you who are flying in, the Lanseria International Airport is located around 20 kilometers to the conference venue, and OR Tambo International Airport is approximately 45 kilometers to the conference venue. So if you're in one of the major airports and you're able to fly to Lanseria, we would encourage that. Otherwise, if you're in one of the smaller regional airports, you can fly in via OR Tambo International and take a Uber or a shuttle. The Uber prices, when we checked, were around 250 Rand one way for the Uber, the regular Uber. If those of you who are wanting to think of the Gautrain, the nearest station is the Sandton station, and then you are able to take a Gautrain bus to Monte Casino if you wanted to, and then take a Uber from Monte Casino to the conference venue. So those are a little bit around the logistics itself. As for the conference theme, our conference theme this year is around reimagining student success and expanding opportunity for all. And really what we're trying to do with the conference this year is go beyond the traditional. There's been quite a lot of feedback from our partners and previous delegates around putting together a new program for the conference, allowing for increased participation and stronger evidence-based student success practices. So we've really tried to incorporate the feedback, and we really want to, as we say over there, reimagine some of our traditional approaches and embrace new and innovative strategies that empower students to complete their studies successfully and thrive in their careers and contribute meaningfully to society and achieving lasting economic mobility. So not just around academic success, but looking and thinking beyond completion, what we mean in terms of student success, the changing definition of student success. And again, the theme itself, it encapsulates our vision of scaling out, scaling up, and scaling deep, fostering innovation and collaboration, and driving systemic change in the higher education sector. With the aims of the conference itself, the conference aims are to share our evidence-based and scalable interventions, to encourage collaboration, and we're really trying to create spaces here for sharing within an institution and sharing across institutions and working together. We want to advance the scholarship in student success and explore a little bit more what this looks like from a practitioner's perspectives. We want to embed the student voice, and you'll see in almost all of the proposals, we ask how the students have been involved in the work that has been done. And then we want to also foster innovation and advocacy, and in particular, advocacy for Siyaphumelela as being a transformative, sustainable, and scalable model for student success. Okay, so onto a little bit more around the various session themes that we have within Siyaphumelela. And these are existing themes. It's the themes that we have used in the past to build the program. All of the proposals that will be submitted need to be under these various themes. The first one is student support, and here we include holistic student supports, academic and peer advising, including supplemental instruction, the first year experience, senior student experience, mental health, design thinking and systems thinking, the use of AI chatbots for academic advising, as well as gender-focused interventions. With regards to the use of data session theme, this would be equity performance gaps, tracking and interventions of high impact modules, student tracking, data ethics and governance, knowing who your students are, and the various biographical surveys around that, and then the use of artificial intelligence in data analysis. Institutional change. Here we'll have, well, this covers your student success committees, the use of ICAT, the Institutional Capacity Assessment Tool, student success frameworks, policies, monitoring and evaluation, as well as frameworks like your mental health framework and your data governance framework. That would fall under the theme of institutional change. Teaching and learning. And here we include digital transformation and the use of AI in the classroom, learning design, authentic learning and assessment, curriculum, as well as literacy and mathematics. There were quite a lot of proposals previously around mathematics and literacy, and the use of open education resources. Our fifth theme is the student voice, and focusing on how the student voice has been embedded or used to inform student success practices or understand the student journey. And our last one, which is a new one in terms of a session theme, is looking at student success beyond completion. So considering employability, graduate attributes, transitioning to postgraduate studies, or self-employment or entrepreneurship. So when you're submitting your proposals, you will just need to identify the broad session theme that your work fits under. If if your work doesn't fit under any of these session themes, you can just pop me an email to give you a bit of guidance in terms of which session theme it would best fall under. Okay. In terms of the types of presentations, and I'm sorry, and again, this has come from feedback from our network around creating more opportunities for sharing, creating more opportunities for longer sessions, multi-institutional sessions, and including posters and promising practices within it. So we've got 5 types of session proposals that you're able to do, and these will be in the parallel sessions that they will take place. The first one is the Siyaphumelela network partners sharing. So this is really for the institutional leads from our partner universities. This year, as we say, the sharing will take place in the parallel sessions, and we ask that the institutional leads focus on a selected theme. So not just presenting what you're doing with your Kresge grants and what you've done with Siyaphumelela, but rather to focus your presentations around a specific session theme that was on the previous slide. And again, we request that at least one student be included in that in order to be able to share the student's perspective of your Siyaphumelela work. For the new partners that we have, there also is the option to do a promising practice sharing and not a 30-minute session, a 20-minute presentation, 10-minute Q&A, if you don't yet have sufficient evidence or sufficient progress in your student success work. So for new partners, you can also choose to do a promising practice sharing. The next one is the 30-minute evidence-based sharing. So these are your typical presentations, 20-minute presentation and a 10-minute Q&A. And what we've really emphasized here is that it's evidence-based and the use of data to demonstrate successful strategy execution in one or more of the session themes and providing that strong evidence of success, showing substantive improvements in student and institutional outcomes. So you can see this is really emphasizing the use of data that we have within Siyaphumelela and sharing these evidence-based strategies or interventions. If you don't fall into that category, you can then choose to do a promising practice sharing, which is around highlighting new or evolving innovation in one of our session themes, but does not yet have that evidence to support widespread adoption and scaling. So this is around creating an additional opportunity for people to participate in the conference, and it is particularly suited for student presenters or co-presenters. So that promising practice sharing will take the form of a presentation, a 10-minute presentation with a 5-minute Q&A afterwards. We have included posters for this year's conference and reimagined them to provide two kinds of opportunities. The first is to showcase the visuals and artifacts that have been produced through Siyaphumelela over the years. And we would really like to do a gallery walk at the end in our plenary venue, which would showcase some of the visuals. We've had some great visual frameworks that have been produced. Some of the regional networks have also done some stunning visuals. So this is really an opportunity to just showcase some of those visuals and artifacts that have been produced over the years, over our 11 years of Siyaphumelela. And the second is an alternative option for promising practice sharing. So if you don't want to do a presentation with your promising practice, you can do a poster for the promising practice. And we will create then time in the conference program for delegates to engage with the posters and the presenters of the posters. And these should be broadly aligned to the session themes. And again, if it's a poster or an or a visual that you want to share that isn't aligned specifically with a theme, that is okay. But you will still need to at least identify one theme that it falls broadly under. Okay. The last proposal type that we have is a 90-minute multi-institutional session. And this is around incorporating robust and multi-institutional or multi-stakeholder engagements in a session theme related to possibly the work streams that we have, an Mbizo-style discussion, or a cluster dialogue time with case study presentations, or a workshop or something along those lines. So previously, people have requested to have some of these longer discussions at the conference. So this is an opportunity around that. We've had some work streams as well that have put together proposals around a longer session. Another example could be a regional network that wants to do a 90-minute session involving case study presentations from the various members of that regional network. So that 90-minute session then would provide you for an opportunity to put together a proposal around that. I just want to jump onto one more diagram that we have, which is around identifying what proposal to submit. So if you're an institutional lead at a partner university, we would ask that you submit a proposal for the partner sharing. If you're a institutional lead at a new partner university, you then have the option of either doing that 30-minute session, which is a 20-minute presentation and a 10-minute discussion around the partner sharing, or else you can do a promising practice sharing and have a 10-minute presentation and a 5-minute Q&A.
Hi, Ashton. There is a question in the chat space.
Yes, thank you. We really do want a multi-institutional perspective for the 90-minute sessions. So not just one institution's perspective, and really not just one speaker as well. So I would highly recommend that you have multiple institutions sharing their perspectives, but you can have more than one speaker from the same institution within that. Okay. Yes, and it can be a panel discussion as well that you want to propose in that 90-minute session. But we would highly recommend, as you say, one of the aims of the Siyaphumelela conference is around collaboration, in particular collaboration between universities. So we would highly recommend that you put together a session that involves panel presenters from more than one institution. We would recommend at least 3 institutions within that 90-minute session. Okay. And maybe to add, if you're not quite sure who would be appropriate in one of those sessions under one of your themes, you're also welcome to reach out to me and I could suggest some possible speakers from some of the other institutions that might be able to contribute meaningfully to that panel discussion. Okay. So to go back, as we say, for the previous partners, the older partners, where you've got some more data that you wish to share and some more evidence-based practices, you're welcome to do the Siyaphumelela partner sharing. If you're a new partner institution and an institutional lead there, then you've got the option of either doing that partner presentation sharing or a shorter promising practice sharing. Okay. Next up, are you involved in student success at your student success interventions or strategies at your institution with that strong evidence of success? Then we recommend that you do the 30-minute evidence-based sharing. And again, the emphasis being on the data and the evidence that you have that supports the improved student outcomes. Are you involved in a new or evolving student success practice at your institution and you want to share it with others? Then you've got the option of either doing a promising practice sharing, and that's a 10-minute presentation, or else you can do a poster, submit a proposal for a poster. If you're a student involved in student success interventions and you want to share your perspective, then you can again put in a proposal for the promising practice sharing or else a poster. If you're a work stream, a regional network, or a partner and want to propose a longer multi-institutional engagement, then we recommend that you do that 90-minute institutional session. And again, as I say, we are emphasizing the multi-institutional perspective there and with at least 3 institutions. Okay. Do you have some visuals and artifacts that have been produced through Siyaphumelela? Then please do a poster and showcase those artifacts or visuals that have been produced over the years. Are you not yet part of the network and you want to share your student success intervention that has that strong evidence of student success, then we recommend that 30 minutes evidence-based sharing. And if you're not yet part of the network and you want to share your new or evolving student success practice with others, then you've got the option for the promising practice sharing or the posters. So just to reiterate and confirm that the Siyaphumelela conference is not just for our existing 20 partner institutions, it is open to everybody in the higher education or post-school education and training space. So even some of the TVET colleges, if there is some work happening over here, if it is international universities that are interested in attending, you're welcome to join and submit a proposal and attend the conference, as well as our private higher education institutions as well. You've got the option for the 30 minutes evidence-based sharing, as well as the promising practice or the posters. Okay. Are there any questions at this point? Sorry, I do know it's a lot of information, but are there any questions around these 5 session types? We do have more detailed guidelines around what to include in your proposals, and I'll be showing that to you shortly. But I think at the moment, this is a good opportunity just to stop and pause and hear if there are any questions or queries at this point. You're welcome to raise your hand or else put it in the chat. Okay, I'm not seeing any questions in the chat or any hands being raised.
I don't see any either. I think it's also important for people to know that all this information is available on the Siyaphumelela website.
Yes, and that's what I'm going to show you now is everything on the website. Okay, let me show you now the website. Okay, so this is the Siyaphumelela website. Let me just put the URL in the chat. For those of you who aren't familiar with it. So this is the landing page for the website itself. If you want to download the call for proposals with the additional suggested guidelines, you can click on the link over here. And this is kind of just a recap of the information that I've shared already. There's the various proposal types, as well as the session themes. There's that table around identifying what proposals to submit. And then what we have is more detailed information for each of the proposal types. So there you can see for the partner presentation sessions, we give some guidelines in terms of what to include in your proposal. Intended evidence of success, inclusion of the student's perspective, issues of scaling, how we go about eliminating the equity gaps, which is a Siyaphumelela aim, how the work is being evaluated, and some key insights. When you're doing these proposals, please don't use these headings for it. Type your narrative as a with paragraphs or a full with paragraphs, because this is going to be going into our book of abstracts. So again, please don't use these headings. These are just kind of guidelines to help you with putting together your proposals. They're not prescriptive, and we definitely don't want to prescribe to you what should be put in, but they are just suggested guidelines of things to include in your narrative for your proposal, and in particular to help us evaluate that. Okay. So this is for the partner presentations. We also have the 30 minutes evidence-based sharing, and you can see there the emphasis being on the evidence of success, including how students have been included in the work, both involved in the implementation practice, as well as students as beneficiaries. I'll show you now the link to the proposal submission and take you through that. Okay. We're also emphasizing for these ones the scaling aspect as well as the evaluation of the work, which came through quite strongly from previous feedback. The promising practice sharing. So these are the presentations. And again, if you had to go through these guidelines that we provide around what to include, it has been tailored for each of these session types. I'm not going to go into it in more detail. For the posters, we've got two types of posters. The visuals or the artifacts or illustrations that have been produced, and then the alternative opportunity for the promising practice sharing. And again, with both of these, for the visuals, we provide some guidelines or guidance in terms of what to include in your proposal. And for the promising practices, we provide some additional guidelines there. Maybe something to just keep in mind. I think with all of these, even with the evidence-based one, we are really want to balance the practitioner's work with some of the academic work. So you'll see that we don't ask for abstracts, instead we ask for proposals, and the format of these isn't a introduction, literature review, methodology, discussion, results, and conclusion. That's why we provide some additional guidelines in terms of what you put into your proposal. Okay. For some of our new members, that's something to just keep in mind. So when you're putting together your proposals, we wouldn't be requiring references and yeah, references. Last up, we have the 90-minute multi-institutional session and what to include in your proposal. And in particular here, it's a proposed outline of the session, a draft outline, maybe just to highlight that, proposals that are structured around presentations only without any discussion are discouraged. We really want to encourage discussion and time for discussion and engagement within these 90-minute sessions. And unless it involves, for example, case study presentations where you've got quite a lot of institutions that want to share their perspective of the work. Okay. And here include session outcomes, include the students, and again, all of these would need to illustrate the Siyaphumelela aim of eliminating equity gaps based on socioeconomic status, gender, and or race, and key insights that you have. Okay. So we are only asking for the proposals, asking for 1,500 characters, which is around 250 words, so half a page. I think the multi-institutional one can be longer. We are just busy working on that and updating that on the website. Okay. So for those of you who are asking around the proposal submission, if you click here, the Siyaphumelela conference website, we'll have the call for proposals, and you can click the button down here, which will take you to our proposal submission platform. Something to add, the proposal submission platform is linked to the registration platform. So if you submit a proposal, you don't need to register for the conference because your information is captured in the same database on the back end. Just to add, if you see this, please don't click on the testing design and submit your work yet or register your work yet. This is just for testing whilst we update the back end and build the registration and the proposal submission platform. So that would be to say at the moment you cannot submit proposals or register for the conference. Wait until this says 2025 Siyaphumelela conference. But I can show you what it looks like in the meantime. If you click on the call for proposals, you will put in your email address over here. Please make sure it's lowercase only. And your security, you put in that number over there, that text over there, and then you will receive an email from helpdesk@sadie.org.za. There is, as far as we know, only one institution that doesn't receive emails from Sadie, that's CPUT. If that is the case, maybe just give it a while, 5 minutes, to get a email from helpdesk@sadie.org.za. If you don't get an email, we would request then that you register with your Gmail, your personal account details. Also, please check your spam folder and your junk mail folder, as it may go into the junk or the spam folder in your institution. To add, this it's been updated at the moment, so it should be live and you'll be able to submit your proposals later today. Okay. So the estimated time is today. We've already had to delay it, and we hope that it will be completed today. Okay, so I'm going to show you what it looks like. Once you log in and you enter the one-time password that you receive, it will take you to this page. Your information, you only need to put it in once. Everything is linked to your email address, so you can even put your proposal in and come back at a later date and make changes to it if necessary. So it saves your changes. You won't lose any of the information that you put in. Something to keep in mind, and we've got it in big and bold over there, is that the way the system works is that you can only submit one proposal linked to an email address. So you can only be the lead author for one proposal. If you plan on contributing to multiple proposals, then you would need to get other people to submit that proposal, and you would become a co-author of that and not the lead submitter of it. Okay, so that's something to keep in mind, and in particular for the institutional leads where you're planning on doing a 30-minute partner presentation as well as a poster or something. Currently, the system doesn't allow you to do that. We would then ask that somebody else in your team does the proposal for the poster. Okay. So that's important to keep in mind. And I think as we create as we've created more opportunities of engagement for the conference, this is one of the things that has crept in. Okay. Likewise, if it's a work stream, please get somebody to submit the proposal who isn't doing another proposal, because the system can only handle one proposal by link to each email address. Okay. You are able to put in your information. And over here, when you click the various proposal types, it then changes, if we scroll down, the guidelines for that. So the guidelines do sit here as well. If you click evidence-based sharing one, which is 30 minutes, but it's a 20-minute presentation and a 10-minute discussion, you'll see here that the proposal guidelines change. Okay. Here we do have, as we've shared, the partner sharing, which is for the institutional leads, the evidence-based sharing, which anyone can submit, the promise in practice, which is your 10-minute presentation and 5-minute discussion. For the posters, we've got two. When I presented it previously, it's just been posters. But here's the A, which is for the visuals, illustrations, or artifacts, and the posters for the alternative format for the sharing of the promising practices. And then this is for the multi-institutional engagements. So you would need to select out of those 6 session themes that I've shared earlier, which one your work most falls under. We ask that if you're an institutional lead, to please just tick the button. And this is in particular only for the presentations, these partner sharing presentations, or if you're an institutional lead and you're doing a promising practice sharing. And the reason for that is that we want to have these at the start of the sessions in order to open the sessions. And so we need to know whether it's the institutional lead presentation that is happening. Okay. Authors. And again, this is in the more detailed guidelines. You can put in multiple authors. We request that you use the Harvard referencing style for your authors so that we've got consistency over here. And it would be great if you're able to do that up front. You're able to put in your presentation title. And then as you scroll down, you can type your abstract over here. So for the evidence-based sharing, you've got 1,500 characters, which is the limit. It can't go more than 1,500 characters. So you're able to put something into a Word document and you can copy and paste it into here as well. Or you can type it directly into here and click save and exit when you complete it. Let me just quickly check for the multi-institutional engagements that I've spoken about previously. You can see, yes, so this has been increased to 30,000 or 3,000 characters, which is around 500 words. So you're able to put in a longer proposal. Sorry, not abstract, a longer proposal for the multi-institutional engagement. What we also have is some guidelines for you in terms of preparing your presentation, as well as preparing your posters, what to include over here. But we will have another session on this closer to the conference for those whose presentations have been accepted and for those whose posters have been accepted. So once you're done, you click save and exit. Okay, it's timed out because I've taken too long. But what you will then do is just get a message saying that it's been saved. Let me just double check that. You won't receive an email notification that it's been submitted. So I do just quickly want to show you what that is going to look like. Okay, I'm just going to wait for that one-time PIN to come through because we have had a lot of queries in the past from people asking whether their proposals have been submitted. And as I say, you don't get a notice saying that it's been submitted. You only get a notice saying that it's been saved in the pop-up. So, and I think that's important because you would be able to go in and make any changes up until the 30th of May to your work. Okay, so I've just gone and logged in again. And I can click save and exit. And this is what you'll get. Your data were saved. Okay. So you don't get this has been successfully submitted. It just says your data has been saved. And you can then always go in up until the 30th of May and make any changes to your proposal that you have. And then it logs you out of the system. Any questions there? I hope that shows you how the call for proposals works and how you'll be able to submit. You're welcome to put it in the chat or raise your hands. Anyone? But I would recommend for those of you now who are interested, you can just go to the Siyaphumelela website and download that call for proposals with the additional suggested guidelines or to help you put together your proposal. We would highly recommend, please, that once your proposals are ready, that you submit them so that we can actually start evaluating them before the 30th of May. Yeah, and maybe what you can do is you can just email myself or info@siyaphumelela.org.za to confirm that you've submitted, and then we can start with the proposal review process. Any questions so far? Otherwise, what I'll quickly do is just show you how the conference registration works, if you're interested. So again, because we have one system in the back end, if you submit a proposal, you don't register again for the conference because your information is captured in the same database. If you need to generate a bulk invoice for yourselves, so for your institution, you want to process payments from various institutions. You can select your institution from the drop-down menu. We might need to create a space for other. We then request then that you put in the information that your finance department requires in terms of your institutional address, your city, your postal code. You can select the number of payment tokens that you need. And we ask that you then include the details of the people that you're requesting the bulk quotation for. And okay, it's just asking me to put in information for all of these. And I don't think you've seen my pop-up window that's come up. Let me just stop sharing. There we go. So this is then the pop-up that would happen with the various information. So for the institutions that we have on file, it will also automatically pull up the VAT number for that institution. And there's the payment tokens, the amount, the VAT, and the number of delegates on it. So you'll be able to do these bulk quotations if you need. Usually what then happens is we'll generate the bulk quotation. You'll then process this internally. You'll email us the purchase order, and we would then generate a tax invoice for payment. Okay. Let me just show you how it will look if you want to register for a single delegate. And maybe just to show you what that email looks like. So as I say, it comes from helpdesk@sadie.org.za, and it will have a one-time pin over there that you then just copy and paste over here. Okay. And again, you can see it's gone and captured all of my information. I would then need to put in my institutional VAT number. For some of the sponsored delegates from the institutions, we'll give you a token. And if it's a token, you would then put your token in over here, and it will tell you that you've registered. If you need to generate that invoice for the EFT payment for your institution, you then click on generate an invoice, continue to payment. This is still being updated, but it will have an invoice number over there. The email doesn't work. What you'll need to do is print it as a PDF for processing. So change it to a PDF, save it, and then you can process the invoice. This will be on the Sadie letterhead as well with our updated details. And again, once you generate your quotation over here, you would then process it for payment at the back end with your institution. They will give you a purchase order once it's been approved. You will then send us the purchase order with this invoice, and we will generate a tax invoice for you to send to your finance for payment. Okay. Good question that's come up in the chat. Yes, you'll have the option to change to a poster presentation should the promising practice sharing proposal not be accepted. We do have limited space within the conference program. So we'll just need to check, but you might not, you will have the option to change to a poster presentation should it not be accepted for the actual the 15-minute presentation. But what we might just do is send up a follow-up email around that just to confirm that you're happy with that and will still be attending the conference. Yeah. We do have limited space, as I say, in the conference program. And as you can see with all of our session types that we have, we will need to go through the reviews of the proposals fairly carefully and to make sure that we've got a good spread of institutions presenting, and that the program shows a lot more of the work that's being done and not necessarily dominated by some institutions in the program. S- yes. So at the moment, for all of our 20 partner institutions, Siyaphumelela and Sadie sponsors 3 delegates from each institution, the Deputy Vice Chancellor, the institutional lead, and a student. Um, at the moment, okay. Zena, can we have a discussion internally around that? Because you do raise a very important point around students who submit a poster presentation and if they are charged the full conference rate. At the moment, they are. If they're not one of the sponsored delegates from your institution, but you raise a very good point, and we do want to increase student participation in the conference. So let us have a discussion internally around that. Just to say, though, that this year for the Siyaphumelela conference as well, we're going to have our own scholars program. We will have at least 4 Siyaphumelela scholars presenting their I am poems that they will craft and develop. And we'll be ending the Friday with a panel discussion with our Siyaphumelela scholars. We are also looking at putting together a student program for the conference that's integrated as well as separate at times from the main conference. We've got interest from the Achieving the Dream scholars to have a session in the afternoon on the Wednesday that would be able to include students that are attending the conference as well as students that would be able to join in remotely and engage in those sessions. So we are thinking of putting together a student program for the conference. But you raise a very good point there around their registration fee. Yeah. Okay. We will get back to you and share some further information around that in terms of whether they pay the full conference rate as a student. Anything else at the moment? I don't want to keep you longer. I hope, though, we provided a bit of clarity around the various proposal types that we have for the conference and how it all works together, giving you a bit more guidelines in terms of what proposals to submit, and then more detail in the actual narrative for the proposal itself, what to include. And as I say, they are guidelines. If you have a different suggestion, or you're doing work that's really innovative and doesn't fall under any of these session themes or any of the proposal types that we have, please send us an email and then we can consider that. We're definitely open to innovation and creativity, so we can look at how we include that in the conference. Great. No, it's a pleasure. We've tried to be provide a lot more information and guidelines in terms of the proposal types. But as I say, please don't take it as us being prescriptive and telling you what to do. It's a collaborative effort. We're really just trying to help and also think things through for ourselves in terms of the various proposals that we have. They're just guidelines. Yeah. Please be creative and innovative. And that's really what we're trying to do with the conference. And as we say, reimagining student success. Okay. So thank you very much, everybody. I'm hoping that you are all on our database. If not, let me just quickly share the link for you. Um, the link for registering. So in order to receive all of the communications related to the conference, um, please make sure that you are signed up. I've put the link in there in order to receive the communication. You're welcome to share this link with anybody else in order to get them to sign up to receive communication around Siyaphumelela and the various other SADI initiatives that we have. We will be using the mail blaze for our communication for the conference. So we encourage you to please sign up if you haven't. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. This has been really useful. I hope you found it useful. If you have any queries, please, you're welcome to, I think I'll put in the Siyaphumelela email rather. You're welcome to email info@siyaphumelela.org.za, and we will respond to that. We do monitor it. If you're also looking at sponsoring the conference, we've got various sponsorship packages that we are putting together. So we are welcome and open to sponsorship as well. Similarly, if you want to do an exhibition and have a table in the registration area that kind of showcases some of the work, or if you've got a chat bot or something like that that you want people to play around with, or something digital, yeah, please let us know as well. We did have a request to put together a digital labs session, so that is something we're still thinking about. Okay. But if there's no further questions or comments, I just want to thank everybody for your attendance. Thanks very much, and good luck writing the proposals. And good luck. We hope that your proposals are accepted, and that we will see you at the Siyaphumelela conference in 2 months' time. In exactly 2 months' time. Yes, we'll be in exactly 2 months' time, we'll be doing the registration desk, and you're welcome to come and register and join us for the conference. Our keynote is Dr. Tim Rennick, and he will be presenting some of the work that Georgia State University has done around student success. As well as their use of AI. They've done some really great work now in that race at Georgia State University is no longer a predictor of academic performance. So because they've made their interventions available to all students, they have been able to reduce performance gaps related to race at Georgia State University. And that's really what we want to showcase and move towards in South Africa and Siyaphumelela. Great. Thank you very much, everybody. Thanks very much. Take care, everybody. And as I say, we hope by this afternoon that the registration and the proposal platforms will be open. But we ask that you be a little bit kind to us as we rebuild things, and yeah, accommodate the various proposals that we have. Thank you very much, everybody. Bye.